Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is John J Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the NCSL here on College Football Revamp. And boy, do we have an exciting one here tonight. We got the final regular season episode for season number 2. This is where things start to get extremely serious, and I'm extremely excited about it. We are going to close out the regular season on a high note. We got 16 nationally televised games, and I believe we might have multiple top 25 matchups as well. So really excited about this particular episode. We'll go through the remaining regular season week, and not only that, we will also get through what we have left in terms of conference championships. We'll preview what the conference championships are looking like and see where the conference stands, because how these conferences are ranked is going to have a big impact on who's going to get those automatic bids. It's based on the best 5 conferences and what their champions are, not the top 5 conference champions individually as a team. So excited about this episode. I hope you guys are as well. If you are, hit that like button, hit subscribe if you're brand new to the channel as well. Let's go ahead and dive right into it. So let's go ahead and get ourselves started with the final week of the regular season, as we will begin with the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss going on the road to take on Mississippi State as they look to try to solidify their college football playoff chances, as they do come in ranked number 3 in the country. So all of these Rebels team gotta do, they gotta win this game as well as the Sun Belt Championship, and they should be good to go. But Mississippi State looking to play spoiler and actually doing a pretty decent job of it at first. Ole Miss actually going to draw first blood here, but here we are late in the third quarter. Still a close game, could still go either way. Ari Archie is going to punch it into the end zone himself, but that being said, we still have a 1 possession game, could still go either way. Are we going to see an early upset here on Thursday Night Football? Will Mississippi State do the unthinkable? They gotta punch it into the end zone here, and they can. Lance Jenkins scores, and now it's a tie ball game going into the 4th quarter of action. But now here we are, Ole Miss, we're gonna answer back. Goal line situation, Archie finds his man in the back of the end zone, and Ole Miss is just barely, and I mean barely, going to survive. But we have more NCSL action coming your way as other teams around the country are trying to solidify those national college football playoff chances, as we got a game of good old-fashioned hate here now between number 2 Georgia and the unranked Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. And now here we are, Georgia Tech and Georgia going at it, but the Yellow Jackets putting up a decent fight early, even getting an interception here late in the first quarter. Georgia Tech wins that first quarter of action, able to get a field goal later on in the game. It's a 10-0 lead here. Are they going to try to pull a big upset of their own? Because number 2 Georgia, they are certainly in trouble right now, but Adam Williams is going to find the end zone for the first time for Georgia. They will finally get on the scoreboard as well. Do we start seeing Georgia come out here and try to take control of this game? Well, Yellow Jackets aren't making it easy by any means, as we're going to have Adam Williams running it up. The guy's going to make a guy miss. Makes a second man miss as well, as that's another touchdown for the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia takes the lead for the first time today, but the Yellow Jackets still looking to stun. Down by 4, a chance to take the lead, but throwing that ball up into coverage. Oh, you absolutely hate to see it. And now Georgia's deciding to try to move downfield, trying to get some points on the board. And how about this? Reggie Peterson, the FCS transfer, almost, and I mean almost, managed to find their way into the end zone there. Didn't quite get in on that particular play, but Adam Williams will dive in once again, and he's just having an absolutely phenomenal day right now. That is his 3rd touchdown of the game so far, and he's been on fire thus far, and that could continue, and so does the rest of his Georgia team. taking a 28-10 lead going into the final quarter. We'll look to see if this Bulldogs team can finish the job, as Williams, looking for touchdown number 4, runs into a wall, but he is still going to find the first down, as that was actually Elliott Hartman actually get his first carry of the day, able to provide some relief for Adam Williams, which then later Lamar Cobb going to score for Georgia. So Georgia Tech made an interesting game for the first half, but then second half was all Georgia. The Bulldogs will finish with a perfect regular season. So now a couple more games happening around the country. First, we'll go down to Rocky Top as we will see them take on their rivals in the Kentucky Wildcats, as this game could have some MAC conference implications. These two teams are now in the MAC. Winner of this game could be making a field trip to the MAC championship game, and with how balanced the MAC is right now, and I'm saying that as nice of a way as possible, but they did come in as one of the weakest conferences in college football in this NCSL series. That being said, though, whoever wins this game could not only go to the conference championship game, but also possibly host a conference championship on top of that. So that's something that we will certainly keep an eye on here. But Tennessee opening up a big lead here, up 24-7 now, and that lead is going to continue to grow, as that is a nice throw in the back of the end zone for Joel Ross, and Tennessee in control for sure. Kentucky just trying to play catch up right now, as they'll try to throw over to the right hand side. Could have been a touchdown. That was a little bit tighter of a rope, but we don't see that there. So instead, it is going to be a goal line situation. Going to see a nice throw to the back of the end zone, and that's going to be intercepted. Oh, you absolutely hate to see it. Kentucky trying to get back into the game. That just simply does not happen. Tennessee is actually going to win big here. But now we go out to Syracuse, New York. Syracuse coming in ranked number 25 in the entire country. They'll take on a Pittsburgh team which not only is 3-8, but they only have one FBS win to their name. So Syracuse trying to finish the regular season strong so they can solidify themselves as a top 25 team and maybe get to a better looking bowl game, I should say. But that being said, Pittsburgh still trying to claw back into this game. They certainly have not given up on their head coach, at least not yet. How about this run by the tailback, Brian Higgins? I actually thought he punched it into the end zone too. Refs did mark him down just short at the 1 yard line, but that will not have an effect long term on the scoreboard, because the very next play, Malik Williams is going to score there. So Pittsburgh does make it a 1-score game before we go into the half. And it's just one of those games where Syracuse, you could tell that they were the better team, but they were just playing with Pittsburgh a little bit too much. They're keeping the Panthers in this game. They were always in striking distance, at least to this point. And once again, if this Pittsburgh team can find the end zone for the second time today, it's going to once again be just a 1-score game. Could go either way here. And sure enough, that will be another touchdown for Pittsburgh. So the Panthers in striking distance, trying to get their second FBS win of the season. It's certainly been a disappointing year for this Panthers squad, a team that was ranked in the top 25. But ever since that early season loss to UCLA, well, that has no longer been the case. But Malik Woods again going to score for Pittsburgh, though, and it's going to be just a field goal difference. Even less if they can actually make an extra point, which they do. And that's going to be killer. Last second field goal. Pittsburgh is going to punch it in. And the Panthers are actually going to pull it off. They beat Syracuse on the road. And that should kick out the Syracuse Orange in this in the top 25. We will not be seeing that Syracuse in the top 25 when the AP polls come out. But a lot more games coming out here in this episode. We get our first quad box of the day. How about a little bit of Apple Cup action to get this quad box special started? Washington taking on Washington State, and the Cougars are recently a team that was actually ranked in the top 25 as recently as last week, but after a little bit of a shocking loss to Nevada, well, that is no longer the case. So maybe they can play a little bit spoiler against Washington, as this Cougars team still has a chance to, get their way in to the Pac-12 championship. USC is waiting on the opposite side, and I would imagine that we will see USC at some point in this episode. But the Cougars down 14-0 though, and still looking for the first points of the game, as finally Jake Avery is going to break that goose egg off the scoreboard. Nice throw by Lance Pope, by the way, just taking advantage of a wide butt-naked open receiver. However, the Washington Huskies rushing attack, it just might be a little bit too much though. A little bit of a speed option, and Adrian Nichols is going to run into the end zone for the Cougars. So back again to being that 2-possession difference. And after that, the Washington football team, they just never seem to look back after that. Washington's going to open up a 28-7 lead, and at this point, Cougars are just trying to make this scoreboard look a little bit nicer for those that want to be revisionist years down the line. Maybe they can punch it into the end zone yet again here, and it looks like they will. Julius Jones will find the end zone for his first, and it turns out his only time today. But either way, Washington is going to win the Apple Cup presented by Boeing and win 31-14 here. Meanwhile, we have Arkansas going on the road to take on the LSU Tigers. Arkansas needing a little bit of help here in Sun Belt Conference action. They could be winners of the Bayou Division if Arkansas can win this game and then also get a Tulane loss as well. So first and foremost, Arkansas has to handle their business right here, right now. But right now, Arkansas, they're down by quite a bit. 14-3 being your score at the moment. But Michael Motley, he's going to hand it off to Tanner Crawford. And that will be a punch-in for the Arkansas Razorbacks, who do work back into this game. And not to mention, they're going to take their first lead of the afternoon, as Tanner Crawford again could have found the end zone for this Arkansas Razorback squad. And it looks like, it seems like we're getting to a point where Arkansas is getting ready to take over, as we have another red zone opportunity. This is a big red zone drive opportunity for LSU. They gotta keep them out of the end zone, but they do not succeed in that accomplishment, as Logan McGee is gonna find the end zone. And he hence sets the receiving record for most touchdowns of the year. That was his 13th receiving touchdown. And now Arkansas with a chance to slam the door. And it looks like that door is going to be slammed after all. 29-17. Arkansas should be okay here, but we'll see them go for the 2-point conversion. An interesting take here. Not completely necessary, but Motley is going to trying to scramble upfield, but it doesn't work. Arkansas is going to fail the 2-point conversion. Hopefully that doesn't haunt them at the end of this game, but now that 2-point failure is going to become far more evident, as LSU scores with 5 minutes left to play, and they cut to a 5-point game. Matter of fact, Tigers, after using all of their timeouts to make sure they have a chance at this, well, now they have a chance to win this game. Bankston, the custom receiver, is going to make a big play. LSU certainly now in business, but can't take a sack. Looking over the middle, and somehow that receiver, Clayton Stevenson, wide butt naked open. And now it's going to come down to the last couple of plays of the game. 3rd and goal, looking to the right-hand side, and Darius Brewer catches the pass for a touchdown. LSU could be looking at themselves as a winner, but we'll see if they get this 2-point conversion, which they do, courtesy of the custom Travell Bankston. Had a decent day today, by the way. 3 catches, 52 yards, and a 2-point conversion. And LSU is going to stun Arkansas, which could have some effects on who goes to the Sun Belt Championship. And speaking of that Sun Belt Conference, we'll keep it in there for a quick moment, as Alabama will be taking on Auburn in the illustrious Iron Bowl, one of the most heated rivalry games in the country. Alabama coming in ranked number 10 in the country, but Auburn looking to come out, get a win, and maybe find themselves playing a little bit of spoiler for Alabama, as the Crimson Tide do have an outside shot of making it into the college football playoff. They cannot make it in to the conference championship game, so they will need a little bit of help, a little bit of chaos in the conference championship weekend, and that's if they can even win this game, which is not at all guaranteed, because here we are in that second half of action, and Alabama still locked into a defensive struggle against Auburn. The Crimson Tide only up by 4 points right now, but Curtis West looking to change that, and he will with an 8-yard scamper on that read option. And you know what? If the read option is still working, why not change anything except it's a fake option? Curtis West, with all the time in the world, could have made himself a sandwich if he wanted to, and he'll find himself a receiver for the touchdown. Curtis West just having a fabulous day here today. 390 yards, 3 touchdowns, and just putting a lot of pressure in general on Derek Alexander, which we are coming out and they're trying to make things shake. Alexander needs a touchdown in the worst way. Even a 2-point the conversion would have been nice, but the 4th and 11, dude just threw it up to try to make something happen. And now Auburn in trouble, not only in terms of winning this game, but if they're not careful, this game could have gotten out of hand, which thankfully it doesn't. But Derek Alexander and company has a whole lot less time to work with, and that's a shame too, because Alexander, he's going to set a single season record for most passing yards in a season. At least from a passing standpoint, Derek Alexander has been the most prolific passer that Auburn has seen. Not the complete athlete like Cam Newton was, but from a passing standpoint, I mean, it's hard to argue with the numbers, right? So Auburn does score a touchdown eventually. They'll try for the 2-point conversion. And Alexander, well, as you guys can see there, he was not Superman. Alabama's going to win the Iron Bowl to solidify their top 10 status. Now we have actually one of 2 top 25 games that we do have thus far. How about some Sunshine State showdown action, as Florida State is going to be taking on the Florida Gators. Both teams very recently get themselves into the top 25, and well, neither team is going to be able to chase down the Miami Hurricanes to get into the SEC championship. Well, at the same time, I'm really excited about how this game is going to turn out. Rivalry game, top 25 matchup, and we got a true freshman making a big play. That was Steve Coley out of Green Haven, Maryland, made that big play there. But it's been a bunch of field goals in this game. We have not seen a lot of offense like we would have hoped. However, Jack Rose is going to change that tune a little bit. Florida State is going to extend their lead to make this a 16-3 affair. But Florida trying to put together a drive of their own. And B.J. Peters, who's got a lot of time, he'll find his man down the field. And that man is going to be gone like a girl in a country sock. Touchdown, Florida. B.J. Peters finally getting the first offensive touchdown of the day for the Florida Gators. And making up for that interception that he threw to the true freshman earlier today. The Florida Gators are going to be right back into this ball game. And going into the fourth quarter, that was the difference. Still a tie game between these two teams, but Florida State looking to pull away. We might have a big boy touchdown on our hands, and we do! Florida State, courtesy of Quentin Thomas, one of the defensive linemen, just happens to be in the right place at the right time as well. And isn't that surely a thing of beauty? Big boy touchdowns. You absolutely love to see it. So Florida State is up by 10, but the last couple minutes of this game, well, it's going to get really spicy. We'll do a little bit of a spoiler there. Mike Harrison is going to score late for the Florida Gators, but even with this touchdown, as you can see, well, they're still going to be down. They're going to be down by a field goal, following the extra point. So Florida wants to keep this game going. Essentially, they will need to recover this onside kick, which, hang on now, Florida does. Trevor Dunbar is going to recover for Florida, and all of a sudden, the Gators in business, driving all the way down to the 1-yard line, and then BJ Peters throws this pass in the back of the end zone again, finding that touchdown. BJ Peters gonna score, and the Gators might just win this game after all. A shocker here. We thought Florida State had this game in the bag, and well, they fumbled the bag. We'll just put it like that. Florida is going to pull off a 2-possession comeback in the last 3 minutes of this game. Florida State, for the majority of this ball game, they were in control, but not leading when the time matters. And Florida's gonna win in a shocker, 27-23 in the Sunshine Showdown. But now we have our first and only studio updates of this episode, and too bad Arkansas lost, because Tulane is also going to lose to Southern Miss. Yet despite this loss, Tulane will be the ones that will be going to the Sun Belt Championship in order to take on Ole Miss. However, some other teams that are going to be bowl eligible, including Eastern Michigan, they win 27-22 to get to bowl eligible. And we also got East Carolina taking on NC State, and NC State's actually going to notch their 8th win of the year. Been a quality surprise as they get a close win against Eastern Carolina. Finally, out in the Mountain West, Colorado State, an outsider shot of making the playoff. Will they lose to BYU? BYU can strengthen their resume because of that. So a couple more games coming out on the docket. We got Maryland going on the road to take on Navy, but more notably, we got number 9 Texas playing their regular season finale as well. But first, we'll go ahead and check in on a little bit of Conference USA action, which has all of the FBS teams that are in the northeastern part of the country so far. And that being said, Maryland already up 3-0 here in the first quarter of action. And Maryland's playing some good football here. They've been a team that's been surging pretty well here in the second half of the season. It looks like that second half could be continuing to surge for against this Navy team. Navy been one of those up and down teams that have been in and out of the top 25 throughout the entire season. They've been a little bit disappointing. But Maryland does have that big lead against Navy right now, 17-3 your score. And that lead will be extended after Chris Carlton takes a shot. He got lit up like a Christmas tree there, but he's still going to score, and those 7 points are going to matter the same. Man, did he take a shot, though. He will remain in the game, though, as now Maryland looks to put the finishing details on this Navy team, as Maryland looks for another touchdown. Carlton gonna scramble upfield. He's got some room to work with, and he'll pick up a decent number of yards there. Makes this a much more manageable third down situation, in which Carlson decides to throw and finds his man over the middle. That's another touchdown for Maryland, and it's a slaughter right now. Maryland is just absolutely having their own way against the Navy midshipmen. But Navy in the fourth quarter, they do get quite a few garbage time points, so much so that they get this 2-point conversion. This is going to get very interesting, very fast, but does not happen that way. Maryland will hang on the win, 34-24, as the Terps will get their 8th win of the year as well. But now we check in on the Texas Longhorns. Texas coming in with an elite 10-1 record, while Baylor just trying to solidify themselves into bowl season. They are bowl eligible at 6-5, but 7-5 record with a signature win against Texas. Well, that could go an extremely long way as well. But we got a game on our hands here, y'all, because unless we get to a point where we're here late in the second quarter, this game is still tied. So Baylor is still working their way in this game is Wes Jordan. How about the custom quarterback at the University of Baylor? He is going to throw an absolute dot there. Just absolutely amazing to see right there. And Baylor's going to put themselves a little bit of a drive. They want to come out here. They want to take the lead. We'll see if Wes Jordan can accomplish just that. He's going to scramble to the outside, trying to get to the sideline, and he does. So Baylor doesn't have to use any of their timeouts. They got a decent chunk of yardage there too. Certainly in a position to get into the end zone now. We'll see if Baylor can come ahead and punch it in as we now see them in the red zone. And Wes Jordan with 30 seconds left to play. He's going to check it down to Jason Carter. Hey, Mr. Carter, how have you been? Well, I'm doing fantastic because Baylor now in the lead. And they got the number 9 Texas Longhorns. They officially have them on the ropes. And we are going to be set up for an absolutely incredible fourth quarter possibly. But Texas looking to pull away here in the fourth quarter. We see them up 27-20. And Chase Ingram says that they've had enough of these upstarts in their own conference. Texas in a goal line situation with less than 4 minutes to go. Ingram looks around to the middle of the field and finds Landis Curtis into the end zone. Touchdown Longhorns. Texas now with a 34-20 lead, but Baylor is not done. They're going to answer back, but they cannot get the onside kick, unfortunately. So Texas finishes the regular season 11-1. But a few more games that are getting ready to dive into action. Couple of rivalry games, most notably, as we got North Carolina taking on the Blue Devils of Duke. A little bit of Tobacco Road hatred between these two teams, as Duke is really not playing for anything substantial at this point in the season. They have been ineligible for a bowl game for a few weeks now, for a few weeks within the season. But North Carolina, they could spoil things for North Carolina and get them into a crappier bowl game, right? And it's still a close game here with 2.5 minutes left to play in the second quarter, as that's going to be a nice throw to the left-hand side, but Mike Anderson getting lit up like a Christmas tree there. This Duke defense, coached by P.J. McNair, it's not necessarily the most talented defense, but boy, do they play hard, and can they hit hard occasionally too. Unfortunately, North Carolina is going to score yet again here in this first half. But Duke, with 30 seconds left to play in the first half, they're going to find Dunk Brown in the back of the end zone. So, game does get a little bit more interesting. However, in the second half, the talent of the depth charts just begin to show here, as North Carolina, they start to pull away from the Blue Devils here. 31-14 now being your score. Offense is doing everything that they can, but when you're giving up 30-plus points on a constant basis, there really is only so much that you could possibly do. And yeah, 31-21 still your score. Just trying to keep them out of the end zone at this point. We will start to see Duke begin to utilize some of their timeouts, but with a goal line situation, maybe they should have just let North Carolina run out the clock. They were willing to do that, but Duke wanted to play hard no matter what, and it's going to be North Carolina that is going to win here, 38-21. Now, that being said, we have the Missouri Tigers on the road. We're taking on Texas A&M. Not as much of a rivalry game, at least I don't think that it is, but Texas A&M trying to save some face here, as I'm still really shocked to see this Texas A&M team 2-9, but they could play a little bit spoiler for Missouri, trying to get them into a crappier bowl game as well, as we'll see them throw to the right-hand side to Mark Sapp. That's an absolute dot over there on the sideline. So Texas A&M, they do end up taking that early lead for the time being, but Patrick James, the FCS transfer, well, he's trying to go ahead and get to work as well, as we continue to see just some pretty good moves over there by Patrick James, who will get a 9-yard gain on that. But Texas A&M going to run over to the left-hand side, and Jake Lewis will punch it in So Missouri will knot it up at 7 apiece, and it remains a very close game throughout the course of this first half of action as well. As that is a one-handed grab by the double Thomas. Oh my, that belongs on a SportsCenter top 10, and it also gives Missouri a 3-point lead, but doesn't give too much time for Texas A&M to seize momentum here in the second half, because the Yankees, the offense was a big reason why they struggled through this year, but starting to come alive here in this last few games of the season. Is now 2nd and 5 coming up. We got a man into shotgun formation. 5 wide, set, firing downfield, and how is that caught by Marcus Morgan? What is actually going on right now? That is incredible. Can't believe that type of catch was made right there. And what's even better is that Texas A&M, they're going to get an interception. They might turn that into a few points the other way as well. Don't know if they'll actually do it, because history says that they usually don't. Okay, they do come out with a field goal, but Missouri is down. Missouri is down by 4, and they continue to turn the football over. That's the second interception for Jake Lewis today, and Missouri in some trouble now. Down by 4. Going into the fourth quarter of action, Lewis dumping it off to the right-hand side to the FCS transfer, Patrick James. Patrick James having a good day for the air, 4 for 47. And it's now another fresh set of downs as they go to the triple option, getting it to the fullback, who's going to rumble and stumble his way into the end zone. That final score being the ultimate difference, as Missouri barely escapes Texas A&M, only winning by a field goal. But now we go to the Palmetto State showdown between Clemson and South Carolina. South Carolina needs this win if they wanted to become bowl eligible. So you can say that this is their Super Bowl. Well, Clemson, meanwhile, is feeling pretty good. The Clemson Tigers, if they took care of business against Virginia Tech, that was their biggest threat to make it to the ACC championship. So now it's just a matter of how can Clemson sneak into the top 25 before we get into conference championship season. That is the big time question, but Clemson right now will not playing their best game. They still are doing enough to have the lead here late in the second quarter, and we'll get to extend it as well, as that's a great play by Darren Smith. Oh my goodness, did he lather himself up in butter or what? He was just a slippery little man right there. He's going to score for the Clemson Tigers. So now a 20-6 lead as we get into that third quarter of action. And it looks like Clemson wants to put in the nails in the coffin here too. Another goal line situation coming up as we got a pistol formation for Clemson. Running back Dominique Hawley. He's going to take on the linebacker and take him for a little bit of a ride as well. Does lead to a Clemson touchdown, and then not too long after, Adrian Davidson doing the same thing. These Clemson boys, they have certainly spent some time in the weight room, at least more than the South Carolina guys on the opposite sideline, as Clemson's going to blow out South Carolina to end their regular season. But now we go out to, I mentioned this earlier in this episode, USC, the number 1 team in the land, taking on Notre Dame. While Notre Dame has, been Notre Dame-ish by NCAA 14 standards, still coming in with a solid 7-4 record. They got the talent, but can they put it all together in this game? And it looks like early on, we got a close one on our hands. USC only up by 5 points. It's been a little bit more defensive-minded than maybe what we originally anticipated. But USC putting together a drive late in that first half. Ben Scott dropping back as Notre Dame tried to send the blitz, and he just remains calm. He's got calm feet. He's got a calm processor as well. And he's able to dissect the defense even when Notre Dame is willing to try to send the blitz. But hang on now, we might have a touchdown opportunity as Nick Richard almost punches it in. USC does take their second timeout, so they'll still have one more timeout left to work with, and they'll go right back to Nick Richard had that big play earlier in the drive for the passing game. We're going to reward him with a rushing touchdown as well. So USC extends their lead, but Notre Dame looking to stay alive in this game. How about this? Notre Dame staying with them. Can they ruin USC's possible perfect season? We got a goal line opportunity coming right up as we got 1st and goal. Looking around, tries to throw to the left-hand side. A bunch of traffic, but Mike Johnson comes down with it. So USC only up by 5 yet again. And it just seems like every time Notre Dame gets close, USC always seems to have an answer. They score there, keep them back at arm's length. But Notre Dame just not deciding to quit. They are not giving up right now as Notre Dame scores yet again. Can the Fighting Irish defense get one stop? That's all that they need. One stop to get back into this game and possibly give themselves the lead. That's been the million-dollar question. This is the 3rd time that Notre Dame has pulled to within 1 possession, but they have not taken the lead, at least not yet today. But Penn Scott, he's going to throw to the left-hand side, finds Jason Clayton in the back of the end zone. And this time, USC will keep him there, as the Trojans will also finish the regular season undefeated as well. But we have a couple more games left in this episode, and a couple of rivalry games, a little bit for that late night content. We got Colorado taking on Utah. Colorado, a team that came in as the defending Mountain West Conference champions, and unfortunately just been a fell for grace from them here in year number 2. It just hasn't been happening like that here anymore. So 4-7 is both Colorado and Utah, but could be a little bit of pride on the line, trying to carry some momentum into the offseason, as neither team will be seeing a bowl game nonetheless, as Lester Jones is going to run it in himself. He'll pick up a gain of 7 there. But we got a goal line situation, though. Jones dropping back the pass, looking around, looking for somebody to get open. Literally anybody. And Drew Sanders is going to score for the Buffaloes as they are trying to roll to their 5th win of the year. Yet the Utes, they have something else in mind, though. Matt Gaffer will score right before the end of the half. So Utah keeping them at arm's length for now. But then we jump into that second half of action. Meanwhile, Utah 20-9, your current score, as that is going to be a simple completion to Matt Gaver. Makes it a 1st and goal now inside the 10-yard line, as Utah again looking to try to find the end zone, given plenty of time, and finds Bryson Culver for the touchdown. Utah winning convincingly to end the regular season as they beat Buffalo 37-16. But one more game that we have on the docket, one last regular season game, dare I say, is the Civil War. At least it was called a Civil War. I have no idea what it's called now. They changed the name recently. I don't get it. The Civil War was just fine. But Oregon is taking on Oregon State, though, and it is in Corvallis, Oregon. As Oregon, a team that started out ranked in the top 25, not quite there anymore. They do have a signature win against Michigan. They're trying to get to 7-5 here before the end of the season, though, as they're looking to take down this Oregon State squad, who at this point trying to play a little bit of spoiler, try to get some pride in terms of taking this win away from Oregon. But Oregon not making it easy. They're already down 14-0 after 1 quarter of action. Beavers gotta find the end zone here on this particular drive, or else we might be looking at a possibility of this game getting just completely out of hand. That could be a distinct possibility. But 1st and goal coming up after the 1st down conversion, going with the read option, and staying on his feet is Eric Golden, and it looks like Oregon will find the end zone. 14-7 now. But Montrell Hawkins, the FCS transfer, has got other things in mind right now. He's going to throw it over the middle to David Miller. He'll pick up a good chunk of yards there to make this a much more manageable 3rd down conversion, as that is going to be a nice throw over to the right-hand side to the custom Chris Gentry, who will log his first career touchdown at the collegiate level. He's been hurt for a good portion of this season, but he's able to get healthy and we're going to make an impact for this Oregon squad late in his freshman year. Well, we certainly saw that there. Chris Gentry getting his first career touchdown. Hopefully there's many more along the way as we go in early in the fourth quarter. Oregon with a pretty good lead right now as Jeff Brady almost punching that ball in. He's hasn't reached 100 yards yet, but he has averaged just 5.5 yards a carry. He's been balling out, but we will finally see him find that end zone though as Oregon wins big 42-7 as they will be winners of this year's Civil War. So for the last time in the regular season, let's go look around and see what's happening in terms of other games that happened around the country. We start with Hawaii as they continue their winning ways. They win 45-38 against Fresno State to end the regular season as the Rainbow Warriors officially get themselves inside the top 15. However, in a game between Vanderbilt and Western Kentucky, the winner of this game was going to go bowl eligible. The other team ends their season now, and unfortunately for Western Kentucky, their season is going to be done after losing 37-7 in a game that they needed to win in order to keep it moving. As for South Alabama, they were taking the business out on the Troy Trojans in their annual rivalry game. South Alabama wins 49-10 to finish 7-5, which should be more than enough to get themselves qualified for bowl season. As for the Nevada Wolfpack, they will do enough to get to bowl eligibility as well as they stun the California Bears. Nevada wins 42-17, and this win was so egregious that Cal, who was a borderline top 15 team themselves, well, they fall completely out of the top 25 thanks to this horrific loss to end the regular season. Meanwhile, for UNLV, they win big against Utah State 38-7 as UNLV, with a great record at 9-3, they get themselves back into the top 25. Good year for the UNLV Rebels for sure. Meanwhile, the Penn State Nittany Lions win their game against Buffalo 45-21. The Nittany Lions do get the double-digit wins on the year, but it'll be interesting to see how they do with a conference championship on the line next episode. As for the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes, they will punch their ticket to the conference championship weekend as they take down SMU convincingly. Tulsa wins 52-10, and they'll be taking on likely the Texas Longhorns for that Big 12 Conference Championship title. We'll see what Tulsa can do on the big stage. Meanwhile, for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, they solidified themselves as a top 10 team in the country as Minnesota wins 27-17. The Minnesota Golden Gophers will be winning at home as they're on the bubble to get to the college football playoff here in the year number 2. As for Rice, they'll at least finish their regular season strong, beating Houston 34-23. And the Rice Owls, while it was a disappointing second half of the season, Rice still had a very good 9-3 record, still worthy of that top 20 ranking in the country. Meanwhile, Charlotte finishes the year strong as well over in the ACC, blowing out Old Dominion to finish out the regular season. The 49ers win 56-13 as they climb within the top 20 of the national rankings as well. So we've had 14 regular season weeks, 14 regular season episodes. And so we now get to the point where we're closing in on conference championship weekend. I wanted to direct your attention to see how these conferences are ranked and why this is really important. Now, for the 5 automatic bids to go to the NCSL College Football Playoff, it does not matter if you are, it's not about the top 5 ranked teams that win their conference championship. It is the top 5 conferences. And as to account for strength of schedule, strength of schedule should matter in terms of picking who goes to the college football playoff. So with that, we got, in terms of who's in the hunt for that top 5 right now, I think it's safe to say there are 3 conferences that are going to be guaranteed to get at least one bid, that automatic bid. The Pac-12, which is in first place with an average rank of 16.7, but the Sun Belt is not too far behind. They have a 20.2 and are also looking extremely good as well. Also being considered is the American. The American is in a pretty good spot right now with a 28.2 average rank. They're sitting at number 3, and that should be good enough for them to get an automatic bid. But then after that, things really get interesting. We got 4 conferences, it seems like, that are competing for 2 slots. The first such conference is Conference USA. They're sitting at 4th with 31.5, and the team that currently has the final cutoff is the SEC with a 33.3 average ranking. Georgia and Miami, the 2 top teams, they will go up against each other. Now sitting just right behind them is the Big 12 with a 36.3. They'll be the first conference that would be on the outside looking in. They would need they want a team that wants to get a college football playoff bid. If their conference is sitting at 6th place or worse, then they would need one of the 3 wildcard spots that are available. And then speaking of that, the Mountain West also making its presence felt. They closed the gap here in the second half of the season. They're sitting at 7th for that 37.3 ranking. Colorado State is on bye, and BYU and UNLV, the other 2 ranked teams in this conference, well, they are going to go ahead and play each other as well. So maybe they could sneak into that top 5 on top of that. Going to be really interesting to see how things shake out. And then the other conferences, I actually forgot. The ACC could make a move as well. They're sitting in 8th place right now with a 38.7 ranking. They're also technically in it as well. So it's not just 4 conferences, it's 5 conferences that are really vying for those last couple of spots. Make that 9. There's more. The Big Ten is at a 38.7 as well. That is extremely interesting. Ohio State and Michigan are in it, so I thought it was 4 conferences. It is 6 conferences vying for 2 spots right now. And then there's the MAC. The MAC is in dead last. They're not going to get an automatic bid. They don't have any teams ranked in the top 25. But these other conferences, the Big Ten, ACC, Mountain West, Big 12, SEC, and Conference USA, they're all vying for that conference championship automatic bid, being in that top 5. So going to be a really interesting conference championship weekend just from that perspective, for sure. And speaking of conference championship weekend, let's go ahead and take a look at those conference championship games and how it's going to shake out. We're going to start things out with the MAC championship in the next episode. All the conference championship games will be in one episode, of course. We'll start with the MAC. West Virginia going to be taking on the University of Tennessee. Tennessee Volunteers coming in at 7-5, a very good conference record at 6-2. West Virginia had to beat Northern Illinois, and they were able to do that. They beat Northern Illinois 41-32, so that does mean that they get in instead of the Northern Illinois Huskies. Tennessee will get to host. Now we get to the other conferences that are competing for an automatic bid. We start with the Big 12. Texas, ranked number 9 in the country. They will be hosting the Golden Hurricanes of Tulsa. Texas, one of those teams that is on the bubble right now. They need to win this game and maybe need a little bit of chaos in the other conference championship games in order to make sure that they get themselves in as well. In other news, we got the Sun Belt. Tulane recently fell at the top 25, but because Arkansas lost to LSU, Tulane still manages to get into the Sun Belt, albeit not as a top 25 team. They'll take on Ole Miss, and Ole Miss has not gotten a lot of attention. They are still a top 5 team in the country, and Ole Miss looks extremely good, and they're looking to get themselves back into the college football playoff. After that, we have Conference USA action. Maryland, an unranked Maryland team, but surging in the second half of the season. They'll take on the Nittany Lions, who come in ranked number 12 in the country. Penn State, a pretty good football team, but are they worthy of that number 12 ranking? They've been a little bit disappointing, to say the least. So it's going to be real interesting to see how this particular game plays out if Penn State can live up to those expectations. But arguably one of the most exciting games that we could have in conference championship weekend, we got a rematch between Georgia and Miami. Now, these two teams did play each other in the regular season. Georgia did win in a shootout. So because of that, Georgia is hosting the SEC championship game. Miami, the defending national champions, can they come out here? Can they get revenge against Georgia? It's going to be real interesting, and it's going to be an exciting one to watch. This is a conference championship game that I'm so excited about. That being said, we'll also have the American, where Bowling Green was able to punch their ticket. They were a team that was, 4-2 in the last couple of weeks, but they were able to take down Eastern Michigan and Western Michigan as well in order to punch their ticket in. They'll be taking on Nebraska. Nebraska ranked number 5 in the country, but Nebraska was in the same position last year where they were on the verge of a college football playoff berth, but they lost in an upset to Wisconsin. That's how Wisconsin got to the college football playoff this past season. So, real interesting to see if Nebraska handles business this time around, as they will be hosting at their home stadium. Now, later in the evening, we'll have the Mountain West. And this should be an intriguing conference championship game as well. Two teams that are ranked in the top 25, BYU and UNLV. The Mountain West finally starting to get a little bit of love here late in the year. They've closed in the gap, and they're also going to be a conference that's going to need some help from the pollsters if they want to get an automatic bid. But this should be a really entertaining game. I'm really excited to see what BYU and UNLV can do up against each other. Should be a fun one that will be happening in the Sin City. Now, for the ACC, we got Clemson, who did just get in at number 21. They have been playing some really good football as of late. They took down Virginia Tech. They've blown out South Carolina. They are just a team that's been on an absolute mission. Meanwhile, North Carolina State, you want to talk about a surprise team, this is a one-star program. Not a lot of expectations for North Carolina State, but here they are playing in the ACC Championship. It's going to be a fun one to see these two teams go at it, but Clemson, they have the game in Death Valley, so they have a chance to really close out the year and go into bowl season potentially as a 10-win team. Another game that could feature multiple playoff teams is USC and Washington. USC currently ranked number 1 in the country. They will be taking on the number 6 ranked Washington Huskies. And USC and Washington, they did play each other, I believe, in the regular season. It was actually the 4th game of the season for USC, and it was also at home as well. They beat Washington 35-14. But Washington, even though they lost 3 games, really getting a lot of respect because of the strength of schedule. So, can Washington get revenge and punch their ticket in to the college football playoff? We'll have to wait and see, but this is a conference that I certainly expect to see 2 teams get in. I certainly think that is more than possible. And rounding out the conference championship schedule, we got Michigan and Ohio State. Now, I don't know how this was possible, but these 2 teams did not play in the regular season. I thought I had protected rivalries on. Apparently, that was not the case, but we do see these 2 teams go up against each other in conference championship weekend. I'm ecstatic to see the rivalry game, to close out the episode. Should be a fun one. Both of these teams extremely talented. I can't wait for this rivalry game to go down. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. Next episode, we will have conference championship weekend, and I'm certainly hope you guys are excited for that. If you are, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. If you do happen to be brand new to the channel, as this is John J Gaming on the mic signing off. Hope you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.